in the association. The free agency window officially open on Sunday.
Yeah, and who's running to the window to sign the big free agents? Plenty of players cashing in, some staying put, while the others are on the move. The biggest story on day one of free agency, Paul George informing the Clippers he's signing elsewhere. 76ers are the frontrunners to land PG-13. The two sides meeting Sunday night in California. George turned 34 years old in May this past season, shot a career-high 47% from the field. Meantime, James Harden will sign a 2-year deal worth $70 million to return to the Clippers. The second year includes a player option. The former MVP turns 35 in August. The Clippers also agreed to a 2-year deal with Kevin Porter Jr., who's returning to the NBA. And Chris Paul, who was released by the Warriors earlier in the day, intends to sign a 1-year, $11 million deal with the Spurs. The 39-year-old played mostly in a reserve role with Golden State last season. CP3 ranks third all-time in career assists, brings veteran leadership to a young Spurs squad led by Rookie of the Year Victor Wembanyama. The 12-time All-Star will also help San Antonio's newest first-round pick, Stephon Castle. Reminder, contracts can't be signed until the moratorium ends on July 6th. And for more, here with CBS Sports basketball analyst Chris Walker and CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder, here to recap day one of NBA free agency. Paul George informing the Clippers he's signing elsewhere. The 76ers are the frontrunners to land him. Bill, what more can you tell us about Paul George leaving L.A.?
Yeah, this is largely connected to his frustrations with the fact that Clippers would not offer him a max deal in that fourth year. They had offered Kawhi Leonard over the course of the season. For Kawhi's extension, 3 years and a little bit under that max amount they could have over that duration. And Paul George wanted more. So, guys, this is a classic case in the Clippers case of negotiating your way out of the thing you actually wanted. I'm told that L.A. believed that they could try and force Paul George's hand. They did not think he wanted to leave Los Angeles, California. They believed he wanted to be a Clipper. And it's my understanding that their backup plan was, all right, if we get to a point where he insists on the fourth year, we can reevaluate whether we want to do that or not. But they made him frustrated enough that he made the decision, I'm no longer going to be a Clipper.
Can't blame him. He wants to get paid.
Yeah, I can't blame him. He's 34 years old, and, you know, maybe he doesn't want to play like till 39 or 40 like LeBron. And he's like, hey, I got to get all of my money. You can't blame him. I never want to count another man's pockets. But at the end of the day, I agree with Bill. There's frustration there. And when those guys, when sometimes money's not enough, respect is something else. That's a whole nother conversation. And maybe he feels like, hey, you know, I deserve this. I had a banner year, and when the team was good, we were really good. And as presently constructed, if guys aren't healthy, I don't know if we can get there. Obviously, the James Harden thing probably had something to do with it, too. And it's just how it is, man. The egos are huge when in that locker room. And he has a chance to maybe do something somewhere else. But at the end of the day, he's gone. And they overplay their hand. And leverage is something else, boy.
How would that work in Philadelphia?
You know what? Here's my thing. I think that Tyrese Maxey's a young player. And he can, and Paul George is someone that he can learn from. Joel Embiid is an MVP. The thing is, with Joel Embiid staying healthy, see, my thing is with the Sixers, when Joel Embiid goes out, right, who is the guy that can keep everything steady and can still score and keep them at a high level?
Andre Drummond?
Not Andre Drummond.
Okay.
And not,
they did get a deal with him done.
Well, they did, but he's the guy to come in and just be a stopgap until Embiid comes back in. But you're depending on Tyrese Maxey to carry the load in the NBA when you're trying to beat the Celtics and the Knicks, the Nova Knicks, and even the Magic, you know, with getting KCP. So at the end of the day, I just think there's a situation where they need another star. You know, they just got Eric Gordon to sign, and they're good some other players, but certainly not enough. They need one more piece, and we'll see what happens. But they needed another elite scorer to be able to unseat the Celtics and probably challenge the Knicks.
Well, meantime, the Clippers and James Harden have agreed to a 2-year, $70 million deal. They also agreed to a 2-year deal with Kevin Porter Jr., who's returning to the NBA. Bill, what do you make of the move to keep Harden?
I make it what Chris said a little bit ago. Leverage is a beautiful thing if you have it. The reality is the way that the cap works, if James Harden had left the Clippers, they would not be able to replace him or anyone approximating him, just from a perspective of not that they have his bird rights. They can offer him what they can offer him. If he'd left, there's nothing else they could have done to bring in somebody else. So he got a really great deal, 2 years at $35 million a year. And not just that, he gets a player option on the second year. So if he has a great season and all that money rushes in from the new rights deals, Amazon and other folks who are pumping up the money, half that goes to the players. This is a classic case of he's not worth that on the open market. There would have been a market for him, guys, but not a robust one, and certainly not at that kind of a price. But because the Clippers had no other choice, because they're trying to win now with the new arena they're opening, because they did pay Kawhi Leonard, and because especially Paul George is leaving, they understood they had to pay James Harden. Harden understood he was going to get paid, and he got a great deal as a result.
And I agree. And again, you're talking about Lawrence Frank, who I think is a very well-respected GM in the NBA. But you start looking at it with Steve Ballmer, who's a great business as well. He's got a couple of dollars in the bank, and you knew you were going to lose Paul George probably if you didn't offer him those 4 years. And they were content not doing that, because I think Bill made a great point earlier. What is he year 3? What is he year 4?
Yeah.
You know, and you see what the Lakers did, rest in peace, with Kobe in those last 2 years, and how the Lakers organization suffered. So at the end of the day, this may end up being a smart move, but they knew they had to keep a star. James Harden is from California. He still has something in the tank. He may not have what he had, but if you can somewhat keep Kawhi healthy and you got James Harden, you still have a chance in the West. Now, will that mean championship? But if you got 2 stars, right, I like my chances with 2 stars than no stars.
All right, staying in California, Klay Thompson having discussions with the Clippers. He's also talking to the Lakers, Mavs, and 76ers. LeBron says he's willing to take a pay cut so that the Lakers can sign an impact player. Klay definitely fits that role. Bill, what are you hearing about a possible sign and trade with Klay Thompson?
Yeah, that's absolutely a possibility. There's a report out there that LeBron James had personally reached out to Klay Thompson. That matches what I've heard from folks close to LeBron and the Lakers, that LeBron James, is going to be involved, that if he's going to take a pay cut to make this happen, he would, so the Lakers could use the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, right around $13 million a year. He wants a star-level player who'd also take a pay cut. The names that were given me were Klay Thompson, DeMar DeRozan, folks like that. The sign and trade is certainly something that it sounds like the Warriors would be willing to facilitate. They get something in return, and even though I'm told that Klay is leaving, largely because he feels like he has not been paid what he has earned in Golden State, there's still good feelings, at least from the organization. They want to do right by him. They're not going to pay him what they don't think he's worth, but they want to do right by him on the way out. Sign and trade is certainly possible. I'll say this, though, guys, just talking to folks, there's a robust market for Klay Thompson. There's a sense that a deal can be done. One source told me maybe Klay would take a spike deal in terms of a little bit of a discount. So, yeah, the Lakers are in the mix, but if you're the Mavs, if you're Philly, if you're even Orlando, some of their cap space has gone away. I think there's going to be a lot of interest in Klay Thompson and a lot of different teams pitching him on a vision why he should join their organization.
See, for me, it's very clear. If I was a GM, right, and I always talk about ADs and how they sign coaches, these coaches to these robust deals. I'm like, yeah, but in year 3, what if he's terrible and he's got a 10-year deal? You know, and now you're on the hook for so much money. I feel the same way in the NBA and NFL. Pay them for what they can do, not for what they've done. And that's why you should get your money when you can.
Right.
When you have your leverage, use it. Don't give them the discount, because when the company has you in a situation, trust me, they're going to do what's in the best interest of the company. So now Klay Thompson in a tough spot. Forget about sticking it to Golden State. For me, it comes down to if LeBron's reaching out to you, right? And again, they didn't work out with Russell Westbrook, and they didn't work out with other players. But this is a situation, particularly, I think you or Bill brought up earlier, if they couple the move with Dalton Connect and a couple of second-round picks to get another star, I think the Lakers could be in business. Maybe not to Bill's satisfaction of being a championship-level team, but I'm telling you right now, they would be in a conversation with Austin Reeves and a D'Lo.
So you like Klay to the Lakers?
100%.
That's your best fit for him?
Trust me.
Okay.
If I'm Klay Thompson, the reason why it's not working out is because everyone remembers Klay Thompson in the Big 3. It's over. Like, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
But guess what? Ray Allen wasn't the same Ray Allen that he played in Boston and Seattle. But when he got to Miami, guess what? Stand in the corner, make the corner 3. And that's what he did. Make a couple big threes a game. You got the other guys out there. So I believe that Klay, if you want to revive your career and if you want to have another chance to win another chip, it's not going to Philadelphia. It's definitely not going to Phoenix. You got to go to L.A. That's my pitch. Klay, there it is right there. L.A., my brother. Let's go.
Klay Thompson to the Lakers, according to Chris Walker. That's what he'd like to see happen. Perhaps, look, Klay Thompson once bristled at LeBron James during the NBA Finals, and maybe now they can you know, make
Politics,
up.
Politics, man. They always make up.
Exactly. Politics, they can make up, and maybe they'll be teammates, and everybody will be happy in Los Angeles. All right, now time for your biggest winner from day one of free agency in the NBA. Bill, who stood out to you?
Look, I think it's the Sixers. Just the fact that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with Paul George. But the fact that they have the cap space, they can go out of Klay Thompson. Now that we know that PG's leaving the Clippers, they can make a run at him. There was some concern out there when Daryl Morey set up this plan for this summer of 2024 for Philadelphia to have all this room that you were going to have guys to target. There are going to be guys. Paul George is going to be out there. Klay Thompson's going to be out there. We have to wait and see what happens because we know who's leaving places that are big names. We don't know who's arriving, but I think Philly's a winner in terms of how they position themselves, given how some of the chips and some of the dominoes have fallen so far.
Yeah, for me, it was the Orlando Magic. I think getting KCP, the fifth starter from a championship team from the Denver Nuggets, was huge. They needed some adding shooter. They needed a winner in the locker room. They got a lot of young talent, and they needed a guy who's going to allow Franz Wagner, who's going to allow Paolo Banchero to lead, right? I think that's important. I think that's what Boston did when they brought in Jrue Holiday, very good player, a winner, a champion. He allowed those two young stars and Tatum and Brown to lead, and I think that's what this team, again, Jamal Mosley's done a tremendous job of this group. I thought they would have been a better fit to play against Boston than the Cleveland Cavaliers. Look for this team to really rise and make some more moves because they also have some more money. They can't get PG, but they have some more money to make some moves.
Yeah, KCP, a 3-year, $66 million deal joining the Orlando Magic. All right, as for your biggest loser on day one of free agency, Bill, who would you say that is?
It's the Clippers, and it's not just because they lost Paul George. There's some reasoning that makes sense for not offering Paul George the fourth year. We don't know what he would have been in years 3 and 4, assuming he's healthy in the first 2 years of what would have been a 4-year deal. And they would have gone into the second apron, which is highly restrictive. But if you're going to pay Kawhi Leonard and you're going to eventually pay James Harden, and you sort of have this all-in approach to building the team, you either have to, if you're going to give up on Paul George, do a straight rebuild, or you have to just pay Paul George the money and make sure he comes back. Because I think as they're constructed, they are not good enough to win an NBA championship. I don't think that they're even a conference finals level team. And they're also not rebuilding for the future. You got to pick a lane. And Steve Ballmer and the fact that he's opening a brand new arena, I understand the pressures there. They either had to manage Paul George better and see this coming, or in lieu of Paul George being a part of that team, you got to tear the whole thing down. A lack of a vision and an inability to get the deal done with Paul George, I think, makes LA a big loser at the start of free agency.
Again, contracts can't be signed until the moratorium ends on July 6th.